Hello everyone, welcome to this podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schwartz, and joining me a little later will be my good friend and roommate now, Maté, who has been spending the past couple weeks living in the St. Petersburg, Tampa area. So we're going to talk about Tampa Bay and what it means hosting the Super Bowl and the energy around the city and having their team obviously in it right now and their one-year turnaround. All stuff Tampa Bay coming up for my Florida listeners and NFL fans. But first, I have to say goodbye to Matthew Stafford. As a Detroit Lion fan, a young Detroit Lion fan, I should say, I have still a lot of sad memories, but my first memory of being a Detroit Lions fan was 2008, the infamous 0-16 year. And I remember running around outside playing as a kid, as 9-year-olds do. And I remember hearing the news that Detroit had lost its Week 17 game against Green Bay, certifying themselves as the first team going 0-16 in a season, since the season had expanded to 16 games. And of course, similar to that, and the reason why I'm thinking about this now and telling you about it is because the next year, the number one overall draft pick was Matthew Stafford to the Detroit Lions. So when I was thinking about Stafford being traded, I thought he's the only Detroit quarterback I know. And even though, people can throw stats in his face that he's won 0 playoff games, he's only made the playoffs 3 times, everybody may say that's his fault, but it's not. It's not whatsoever. The Detroit Lions organization, obviously, you don't need me to tell you, has had a lot of issues. It's had a lot of issues with leadership, but Matthew Stafford meant something different to the city of Detroit. I remember very early on in his career when the highlights went around again after his trade that he had a separated shoulder and still threw for a game-winning touchdown, against the Cleveland Browns way back when. Was it a Super Bowl moment? Was it an incredible play like Rodgers or Mahomes had? No, but he had that type of Detroit spirit, and obviously with the issues surrounding Matt Patricia here as the head coach, former head coach of the Lions, and just it looks like another rebuild. Obviously with Detroit, the whole roster needs it, and Stafford wants to trade it. And I don't think there will be any Detroit Lions fans that speak ill of him. And I think that really says something, what he meant to the city, what he meant to this team, and frankly, he made the team a lot better than it should be. And during those years, especially after Calvin Johnson retired, there was a stat that for 5 years or so, the Lions couldn't have a 100-yard rusher in a single game, and how many times does that happen for teams during a season? So the Lions failed Stafford. Stafford did not fail the Lions, and I'm happy for him. And honestly now, I don't normally do this with players, but like the Rams right now are my second favorite team going into the next year because the Lions, are going to be in year 1 in Dan Campbell, and while I'm excited for the future, I don't think that's going to be anything resembling contention next year. So, shifting to the Rams piece of this, of course, the Lions were given Jared Goff, which, I don't know, it's a bridge quarterback. People have asked me what I think about rooting for Goff. I don't think it's really going to make a difference. I think he'll finish out his contract probably with Detroit because it's a tough contract to trade again in general. And that'll be that. And we'll, you take a flyer on him. You get 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. I think many people were surprised by that load, but Stafford's 32, 33, and he's a legit quarterback on a decent deal with some of these other deals these quarterbacks have signed the past couple seasons. And I think if you look at the NFC right now, the Rams have already been giving away first-round picks like it's nothing for players like Jalen Ramsey and such like that. But, now they're firmly in. They're firmly in the center of the table. And if you look at the NFC too, Rodgers is having issues in Green Bay, and they were the number 1 seed. In New Orleans, Breeze is gone. What does that transition look like? Who knows? They were the 2 seed. 3 seed, I believe, was Seattle, and we saw how vulnerable they were, and the Rams actually already beat them with John Wolford as their quarterback, and obviously with Goff as well, hurting his thumb being in there. So Stafford is already there. The Bucs, again, will they be able to repeat this type of magic? Who knows? And then you have other teams like Washington maybe ascending if they can get a quarterback. There's still a lot of quarterback dominoes to play. Stafford was the first. Watson might be the next, Deshaun Watson. But right now, as it stands, the Rams are a top 2 team in the NFC. And maybe that shows the NFC is softer because, you have like teams like Kansas City in the AFC. But the Rams right now are a top 2 team in the NFC with Stafford. Based on their success they've already had with Jared Goff, how scary that defense is. Stafford is a massive upgrade right there. So I will be rooting for the Rams next year because I don't think the Lions will be sniffing anywhere contention. And I just, it's weird for me, now, I wouldn't say I'm old by any stretch, but, some of my favorite players are moving on, right, from teams you love. And whether it's Stafford here with the Lions, the Pistons, I've been struggling in general, but the Red Wings lost a lot of great talent in the past with the hockey team, and Justin Verlander left the Tigers a couple of years ago, which is a beloved Detroit Tiger for them, and ended up winning the World Series, and I know every Tiger fan was happy for him. And then, the one that you probably hear me talk about the most, Andres Iniesta from Barcelona left a couple of years ago, which, broke my heart. I remember crying in the UCF library bathroom about that when I heard the news, and, Lionel Messi looks to be on his way out too, so it's just, I guess it's weird for me to reflect and look back on this type of thing, but just thank you, Matthew Stafford. And now we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Bucs with Maté Nagy coming up next. All right, now joining me to talk about Tampa. Who knew Tampa would be the sports city of the year with the Lightning, and your beloved Lightning, I should say.
Yes, sir.
And everything about it, with Tampa being the host of the Super Bowl and also being in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. It's the great Maté Nagy.
Oh, shit. What am I supposed to say now?
I don't know. You say hello.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
You've been on here before, man.
Well, thank you for having me again.
There we go. Yes.
It's been a long time.
So you recently actually moved to Tampa.
Yes. Technically not Tampa. St. Petersburg, which is just outside of Tampa, but you could consider that Tampa Bay. That's why it's called Tampa Bay. The Bay Area is St. Petersburg. But all the sports teams, so the Rays Stadium is in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And then the Bucs Stadium is in Tampa, and the Lightning is also, the arena is in Tampa. But great sports city this year. All three teams made it to the championship. Rays lost, obviously, to the Dodgers, but put up a fight. And then we have Tampa and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Who would have thought?
I didn't. I mean, one half of that was pretty obvious, I think, with the Chiefs. But the other half, I really didn't think so.
Yeah, Tampa just woke up in the end of the season and they just went on they started a 7-0 run and then just went on, marching on in the playoffs. Crazy. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's interesting because you are a Lightning fan too. So I know you, and you're a really, some people talk about hockey and they're like, yeah, I kind of root for this team. And they just watch it maybe a couple times or whatever. They're a casual fan, but you're a serious Lightning fan. I mean, we would text about it, whatever, and especially when my Red Wings actually still did things and actually had.
There's actually a Red Wings and Lightning game right now as we speak.
Is there?
Yes.
That's why we're not watching it. That's why we're not watching it together. We're probably down 3-0 already. We won the first 2 games, then we had COVID issues, and now it's a disaster. But anyway, but what I mean is that you actually took great pride in that Lightning Stanley Cup. You were very excited, whatever. So you got to experience that. And then the Rays, I know you're not a Rays guy, but still being there for that whole type of thing. And now with the Bucs, I mean, you kind of have to be a little bit of a Tampa fan, don't you? Now
yeah,
that you
I
just moved out there.
I was never really a Tampa fan. When we lived in Orlando, we had season tickets for a couple of years, but I was never really invested in the Bucs because they were just never that good. And even last year, they weren't that good. And I'm honestly not a huge Brady fan, but what I've realized is it's not Brady that I didn't like. It's Belichick and the Patriots. I don't really have a problem with Brady anymore. Not because he's in Tampa, but because what he has proven is really it's kind of like LeBron. I didn't like LeBron in Cleveland, but I liked him in Miami and on the Lakers. It's just it's incredible what these people can do. 10 championships in I don't know how many years, but I don't want to.
I think it's 19, 20. It's right around there. It's one Super Bowl every single.
It's the last 30 years. They're the only 2 athletes that made it to the championship, right? I might be wrong.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
They made it to 10 championships, both of them.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But I think it's the last 30 years, right?
I think you're right. I think for the NFL especially, I can't think of a quarterback who's gone to that many Super Bowls whatsoever.
As long as he was with the Patriots, I was just oh yeah, it's probably the system and Belichick. But now that he's gone and he's on the Bucs, and it's essentially almost the same team as Jameis Winston had. Obviously, they have a couple new guys, but Gronkowski's old, and then AB is, I don't want to say washed up, but he's not prime. AB. So, but it's still like I think it's incredible what he's doing.
I agree.
Still not a Brady fan, but I gotta admit it. He is at 43. He is something special.
Yeah. He for sure is. I like the comparison to LeBron is a good one too because you're a Lakers fan. So if you aren't catching on, Mate's sports loyalties lie all over the country. He likes to be diverse, which makes sense. You don't experience a lot of pain at the same time, hopefully. And even when the Lakers got LeBron, you were not happy of that. And I feel like some Tampa fans may have been like, "Wait, Brady? Like, what is this? Like, this is." It's almost like from a not being here, not really doing, being involved in Tampa sports. It was almost like a kind of like what? Like now it's almost like...
Yeah, because you, as a sports fan, you want to develop your like great quarterback or your great player. You don't want someone else's great player to come in and just essentially take over your city, which is what happened with wherever LeBron goes and what happened with Brady. Essentially took over Tampa Bay. I think he wanted to like trademark TB something.
12, I think it would be.
12, yeah. But they didn't let him. No, but it wasn't like... No, it wasn't that. It was something related to Tampa Bay.
Oh, I see. Because
the TB12, he already has that.
Okay.
But he wanted to like T-Bay or something like that. He wanted to trademark that. Like, but they didn't let him do that.
Okay, I see. And I agree. And I texted you about that before. Is that it's like a higher title, and then like we were kind of talking about it a little bit. Then I realized like almost every title in the NFL is higher. You know, you have such roster churn every single year, no matter what. It really is just the quarterback. But then again, with Tampa, you tried the Jameis Winston thing. It didn't really work out, obviously, with the 30 touchdown, 30 interception year last year, which is just still incredible. Like, that doesn't get talked about enough. Because normally if you throw 30 picks, you're benched, right? Or if you're on that pace, you just get benched. You're not playing. Like, that happened to Eli Manning a couple years ago. But he's like, well, they throw enough touchdowns. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's... So, like, if we... Okay, hindsight 2020. Like, if you look back at it, if you're able to throw 30 touchdowns with Jameis Winston and 30 interceptions, obviously, but still, like, they didn't, like, what did they finish? They finished, like, second or third in the division, so they weren't, like...
They weren't terrible.
They weren't terrible. Obviously, the 30 interceptions and all those turnovers, like, cost them. But if you look back at it, like, okay, yeah, if they had a decent quarterback, like, they may have, like, made it into the playoffs last year, too. And then Bruce Arians is a good coach. I guess he got fired from Arizona because it was just like he was there for too long, and after a while you just need a change of scenery. But I think he's a great coach, and what I've heard is that Tom Brady, this is like the first time Tom Brady actually had an offensive coordinator as his coach since high school.
Yeah, because Belichick's a defensive guy.
Yeah. So he actually... They're great minds, and I heard that Brady gets a lot of like the calls that he can make on his own. Bruce Arians obviously makes the main calls, but on the field, like Brady has the authority to just change them. And I've actually seen a couple of clips of where Arians wanted to go for a 4th and like 2, but Brady just like ignored him and walked off the field to kick the field goal.
That's awesome.
So and I feel like they also want to fuel that like that hate. They kind of hate each other, especially in the beginning. When they weren't that good, they wanted to, because Arians was, well, I don't really know if he was blaming Tom for the losses, but like they kind of picked up like snippets of like what he was saying and then kind of like directed it like, oh yeah, it was like Tom's fault, like it was the 4th down that apparently he should have known that it was 4th down and all that stuff. So I feel like the media kind of wanted to just like dig a wedge in between them, but it didn't happen. They made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at Lambeau Field. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah. And I think too, like what you said, that early on in the season, it was bad. Like I thought, and I'll ask you this question in a second, just about if you thought this was ever possible, because you look at their division preseason, you know, the Saints were stacked. And Breeze doesn't break 11 ribs. Who knows, right? Because their game a couple weeks ago was still pretty close. But going into we thought the NFC was loaded. It turned out it wasn't, because the Seahawks fell away, the Rams fell away, and then the NFC East was the biggest dumpster fire I've ever seen of a division. That Washington made the playoffs with
Washington, kind of like they almost beat Tampa Bay. So after that game, I was like, okay, they got this game, but they're okay. So once they got into the playoffs, The Washington game, I was like, okay, they'll probably win that game because it's just Washington and they're not good this year because of their quarterback situation and all that. Next year, they'll probably be much better. But this and then the Saints, like once they got to the Saints, I'm like, okay, the Saints beat them twice already. It's really highly unlikely that the Saints are gonna beat them.
Agreed.
So I honestly, that game, I thought, okay, so like if they get through Washington, they'll probably beat the Saints because it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row in the same season. So and that happened. I think the Saints came back a little bit, but still, it was they won. But the Packers, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. They're not gonna beat the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, MVP season, that great offense, and the defense is pretty good, and they beat them. That was honestly a little bit shocking to me.
Yeah. Did you think preseason that any of this would be possible? I thought I believe people, I don't know if I did an NFL preseason show, but if I did, you probably look it up. I believe I had Tampa in the playoffs, but not winning the division or not like anything like that, which turned out to be true, but going along that vein, I did not think they would be advancing to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't expect them to be this good, even make it to the playoffs. I expected them to like have like a winning season, but like the first time that Brady's doesn't make the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because of like the new system and because of COVID, they didn't have that much time to like prepare and with the off season and all that. But I was completely wrong. Like it's just the season started a little bit rough. They were like close to like 3-2 and something like that. But they never had a losing record, but they were like close to 500 most of the time. And it just like, I think it was like week 7, 10-ish when they just went on that run.
Sure. Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah, so I think it started at Detroit actually. It just blew them out. But Detroit was in it. I'm pretty sure like that was one game against Detroit that they just blew you guys out. Remember that?
Well, I do remember because it was the Saturday. They had given Detroit its own spotlight, and we had already fired Matt Patricia. Thank God. God bless. Amen. And then we had our OC take over. But then he got COVID. The defensive coordinator got COVID. And then the third guy in line got COVID. So, like, our special teams coordinator was the head coach. And we had, like, 2 assistants calling plays. And I think... So I was like, this may not be good. It wasn't... I'm so dumb that I didn't think it's not going to be good. I was like, maybe this could get out of hand. And as soon as it went 20-0, I was like, nope. Turning off in the first quarter. And then, what was it, 48-3 or something? It was ridiculous. Yeah, but I'm happy we contributed to Tampa's happiness by having our coaches get COVID and just being a dumpster fire of an organization.
But other than Brady, like it's that whole team is really especially the defense. I don't like Brady kind of overshadows everything. But if you look at the depth of the defense and the defensive line and those linebackers and even the corners, like I wasn't really invested in Buccaneers football this season or ever really. But that defense, I think it's like Brady could be really good. But if that defense wasn't this good, they wouldn't be where they are right now. So obviously, it helps that Brady is good. But on the offensive side, you have Evans, who's having like an average season. Godwin had like 7 drops in a playoff game. He had like 6 the whole season.
Yeah.
And then their running backs, they're really like Fournette and Jones. Like once they're good, once they're not. Like it's really like they're not reliable. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I really don't think like you couldn't really rely on that running game.
No.
And that Fournette is not the same Fournette that he was in Jacksonville. And then you also have like who else do you have on that offense? Gronkowski, I don't really. He's just there because
3 catches a game. Like he's not going to be not going to be a breaker at this point in his career.
But Matt Breida, is that the other tight end? I think
could be. Yeah.
Or Bright or something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. See, like I don't even know their tight ends.
But it's just crazy that they're here.
That slot receiver,
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of Buccaneers games, and they are honestly like on the top of their game so far. Like I've never seen them play this good.
Yeah, Levante David and Vita Vea on that linebacker defensive line really deserve big credit. I think
even Jason Pierre-Paul, like I thought he was like done, but
a fireworks accident.
Yeah,
and he's still come out here churning out sacks.
He doesn't need fingers.
No, he doesn't need fingers apparently.
Yeah.
But so you've been, I know you do lab work still in Orlando, but you've spent the majority of the past month plus or so of the playoffs in Tampa. What's been the mood around the city? I know you gave us the geography lesson that you're not necessarily in Tampa, but still being in the Bay Area, what is the mood around there about the Bucs, and how is it increased, decreased, whatever, gone with the playoffs?
Yeah, so like public TV obviously is just hyping it up that, okay, we have the Super Bowl coming and all the festivities and everything. So although I live in St. Petersburg, there's still a lot of flags out in front of yards and on houses. And as you get to downtown Tampa area, you start to see like some billboards promoting. There are some that are just promoting the Super Bowl itself. Because at first, like, I feel like whole Tampa just like expected, okay, we'll host the Super Bowl, but they didn't really expect it to be like a home Super Bowl for the Buccaneers. So it's honestly, I don't like, since it's never happened, I don't know if it's gonna give them like any edge in that sense, because to them it might not even feel like a Super Bowl. It might just feel like a home game, because they've seen all these like signs and everything around because they live here. So it's like, to them it's just like, oh, just gonna be natural. For the Chiefs, it's gonna be a little bit different because they have to travel here, and they'll have that like. So that's why I feel like they might be a little bit more hyped up. The Chiefs are, because they are getting into this like, okay, in Kansas City it's different because they don't have the Super Bowl there, so they are obviously hyping them up. But for the Buccaneers, like, this has been, the past couple months has been like leading up to the Super Bowl, so they see these billboards and signs all throughout the end of the season and in the playoffs. So to them, it's not going to be that new, so I don't think they're going to have that much of an adrenaline rush.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Because some people would say, oh my gosh, you're hosting the Super Bowl, and I don't know how often that's happened. I don't think it's very rare.
No, it's never happened.
It's never happened before.
This is the first time.
So like you'd think like, oh my goodness, like it's gonna be so amped up, all the stuff, like the pirate ship in Raymond James Stadium is gonna still be there. I think, right? They're not taking it out. So.
I don't know what the protocol is, because you can't have that as like a, I don't know, like, because they shoot the cannons when they score a touchdown and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they can do that now, because it's like they'll have to like, it's still gonna be a home game for the Buccaneers, but I don't think the Buccaneers are gonna really feel like this is the Super Bowl, because like I said, it's like it's been so hyped up since the past couple months that Super Bowl is gonna be here, that they see all that around them, so it's gonna be natural to them to like be in that environment.
Yeah.
And with COVID and everything, everything is restricted, so there's not gonna be that much like festivities. So
right.
it really, I think it's gonna come down to the coaching, and having that leadership of Tom Brady and Bruce Arians in that locker room is gonna like help a lot, especially with the young guys.
For sure. And I think that's a main key thing too, is that you mentioned building up to this, the whole season has been like, even though some people like, and like you and I have said it, like we didn't think it was possible the Bucs would get to the Super Bowl. Like, you don't bring in Tom Brady just to make the playoffs. You bring Tom Brady to win the Super Bowl and make win now moves in Gronk and like re-signing Ndamukong Suh and stuff like that.
You only make that move if you know that, because they weren't like, okay, we just barely missed the playoff last year. I mean, the Super Bowl last year. They weren't even like consideration into like a playoff spot. Like they were decent, not even a decent team, like below average team.
Yeah.
So like to think that like, okay, if you bring in Tom Brady, we'll go to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know who thought of that, but it
was pretty smart. Yeah. Look pretty smart now. I mean, that's what
I don't know how the conversation meant, but whoever like came up with that idea in the front office, they were just like, yeah, you're an idiot. And
we're getting Tom Brady and we're going to the effing Super Bowl against Pat Mahomes. So, and I guess just to take the Kansas City angle too, it almost feels like there's so much build up around Tampa, around them being the host city too. It's like where Pat Mahomes has been the next big thing the last 2 years, right? When they came so close to beating New England with the D Ford offside 2 years ago, and now with last year winning and beating San Francisco, obviously, that now they're just here just to take care of business. You know, it's almost like it's almost what I think of the Packers, if the Packers ever actually won conference championship games. Because I heard a stat about that this week, about something that how many times Stafford loses, or I mean, sorry, not Stafford. Stafford doesn't get into the playoffs. But
maybe next year.
Maybe with the Rams, you're right. With how many times Rodgers has lost at home in the playoffs, it's actually kind of shocking.
All of them. He lost all of them.
Exactly.
The only time he made it to the Super Bowl and actually won it was when he was a wild card.
Yeah, in 2010. And they said like he's 500 in the playoffs, and if you take out that wild card run, he's like whatever it'd be 5-9 or something like that in the playoffs. It's like we put Rodgers on a pedestal, and we should because he's so talented.
The thing is, you have to get to the playoffs to have a losing or winning record.
Very good point.
It's like Nick Foles has a winning record in the Super Bowl, but in the playoffs, but he's only made it once. So it's just like you can't really. Those are not comparable stats because you go on a playoff run, win one Super Bowl by not necessarily accident, but you win a Super Bowl. And then after that, you never make it to the playoffs, and then you have a positive playoff win percentage. But with Rodgers, you have a losing percentage because he makes it to the playoffs so many times.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Brady makes it, and he actually wins it too.
He does. I was gonna say the whole Nick Foles thing, because I was your Super Bowl as the Eagles and just overjoyed. The Nick Foles conversation was winning the Super Bowl broke the conversation around quarterbacks because it used to be it's like with NBA players, right? It's like, can I win the title with this guy's my best player? And then with the NFL, it's like, can I win the Super Bowl with this guy? It was like, well, Nick Foles started and won the Super Bowl, so technically, Gardner Minshew could.
Well, he's not the first backup.
Correct.
Who won it, but I feel
technically Brady.
Yes, and I feel like some of the reason is because. Well, one of the reasons for that is because they're not necessarily. There's not enough film on that quarterback, and if you have a decent quarterback, Nick Foles actually started for the Eagles before and for other teams as well. So, but they didn't have enough film on him during the regular season in that season. And if you have a good team, and actually that 2017 Eagles team won because of that defense. Actually, that didn't show in the Super Bowl because it was one of the highest. It's but crazy. Still, they made it to where they are because of the defense, and obviously the whole team was well organized and well put together. So we just copy and paste Nick Foles in there. So we'll just have to throw the ball, and Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz caught the ball. But so it all worked out, but it doesn't necessarily always work out. So you have to have a reliable quarterback, like you insert Tom Brady into the Buccaneers and you make it to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Do you think the city in the Bay Area has embraced this Bucs team? We kind of talked about a little bit earlier that this hasn't been a natural growth process, right? They 7, 9, 6, 10, whatever. And now all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl. Have they embraced it?
I don't think they even realize they haven't processed it yet.
Okay.
When they beat the Packers, I wanted to take my dogs on a walk after the game, and I just overheard my neighbors who were also walking their dogs, just two neighbors just talking to each other, oh, did you see the game? It was so crazy, that conversation of them, I've never had that talk of the home team being in that position of actually winning something, and neighbors talking about that, and it was just an incredible feeling of the neighbors oh, this is a great game. My husband called the game 5 times before it was over, and then those are such joyful conversations to overhear, and that's what's going on in the Tampa Bay area right now. Everyone has we bought a Buccaneers flag just because we are proud to be in the, not necessarily because we are fans, but we are proud to be in the area and in the city. You don't really always you're not. Being in that area is it makes you proud. Even if you're not a fan of the team, you're not a super fan, but it's just it kind of just brushes off on you. So it's a great feeling. Everything is red, and you see a lot of Tom Brady jerseys, and they are embracing Tom Brady. But I don't think a lot of them actually realize, because it was such a sudden we don't make it to the playoffs, we make it to the Super Bowl. I don't think they've realized what has happened.
Yeah, they're so long for the ride.
Yeah, and so it's gonna take a couple months and weeks to actually realize oh shit, we made it to the Super Bowl, and whatever happens. It's just still the first team to ever do it, even if they lose. It's Tom Brady's resume is gonna be he was with the Patriots for 10+ years. Mm-hmm. Make it. Go to another team and make the Super Bowl. Who did that?
It's honestly the biggest flex.
Did anyone ever do that? Not even that far. No.
No, Favre failed. I'd say another one would be like Montana, but that wasn't his choice from the Niners. No, I just remember I'm just thinking of iconic quarterbacks who were switched. It'd be Peyton.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning did it.
But did he make it the first year?
No, not the first year. Sorry, no. I mean, he might have made it the first year in law. I can't remember which.
No, I think
because they went back to back, and I can't remember which one they won and lost.
I think it was the second one that they.
Okay, let me look it up here.
They won against Carolina.
I need to hire a stat guy.
Okay, but that was because of the defense. Like you could like.
Well, yeah.
That wasn't. That wasn't Peyton Manning winning the Super Bowl. That was really that defense, that Broncos defense.
So they won the Super Bowl 2015, and then Peyton's first year. Oh no, Peyton's first year was 2012.
Okay, so then.
So that was at the very end of. Okay, so they built up to that.
It took them a couple of years to get there, and then you just insert Tom Brady. I wonder if he could you could do that with like every team. Just like next year he would go to like I don't know, wherever.
Yeah.
And then just see
Detroit.
If he can.
We don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, you do.
Get Jared Goff.
We don't
have a quarterback. Can you? I know I talked about this on the pre-show, but like I cannot believe I have to root for Jared Goff now, like for a little bit. But apparently I was wrong too. I could have swore it was back-to-back years. I guess they lost to Seattle in 2013, and then was eliminated 2014 playoffs, and then won the 2015 Super Bowl. So that's weird. My memory's already going. I'm 21.
Yeah, interesting.
And that was literally only 8 years ago. So. But yeah, so I was just thinking of no one done it. I don't think in the first year like this because these kind of turnarounds can happen in the NBA really quickly. The Lakers are a great example.
Yes.
When you just get Anthony Davis, LeBron's fully healthy, and there you go.
Yeah, but that's multiple players.
Exactly.
You have and it's also like you only have 5 players on the court, and
right.
This is I think there's a lot more moving parts because you have an offense and a defense, and
sure.
Even if you just insert Tom Brady, like I said, like that defense has to show up, and that defense did show up.
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles wasn't he like? I feel like he was the head coach at some point of the Buccaneers.
Maybe he might have been the interim. I don't know because Arians hasn't been there that long. I know he coached the Jets.
No, it's his second or third year. I feel like Todd Bowles because I remember him like on the sidelines when I wasn't with the Bucs, like at Bucs games.
It says DC.
Oh, so he was always.
2019. It looks like he came over with Arians.
Okay, interesting. Because who was the head coach before?
Arians?
Yes.
Let's find out. I really need to hire a staff guy, research guy. Have that kind of.
Because everyone before him, they were just really forgettable. There was that white guy.
Sorry,
that white guy that had a European last name. What was his?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Goodness.
Oh, Lovie Smith was him.
Oh no, it was Dirk Cutter. That's who it was.
Yeah, but I was Lovie Smith was the one that I was mixing him up with.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was Lovie Smith and then Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter kind of just like he became the head coach after Lovie Smith. He was on that coaching staff, I think. So
yeah, I think he just got promoted and they're
transition.
Like, well.
Yeah, but it's really it's an incredible run, and that stadium isn't even like a good stadium. Like I don't know, it's not like a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, it's weird.
You have been there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird. Yeah, like, it's weird that it's hosting the Super Bowl compared to Miami, for instance, because Miami's
like
all
any other,
new.
like Minnesota or like Jacksonville and all that. So, but it's crazy. I don't know what's gonna happen over the weekend, because Tampa Bay is still like 45 minutes away, so I'm not really expecting to go that way. But it's still like after the game. Last 2 weeks ago, there were fireworks, and like I said, like people are talking on the streets, and I feel like there is gonna be some boat parades if they win, like even in the St. Petersburg area, because that's what they usually do. But it's I don't know, it's not something that I thought of. Like as an Eagles fan, I never thought that I would be rooting for the Buccaneers. Like obviously the Buccaneers, like since that was the closest team ever since I've been here, I kind of like rooted for them, but there wasn't really anything to root for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Like it was a.
But then this year, like and then I mean I love Andy Reid, but I don't know. I kind of want the Buccaneers to win it. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a rematch of I think week 7.
Yeah, because they did play. That's right.
Yeah, they did play. Tyreek Hill had an incredible first quarter. It was like
that's right. It was 200 yards in the first quarter. You're right. It was that game.
They figured it out after that, and it was actually a close game, like 24-21. So it was a pretty close game at the end.
Yes, that's right.
But,
they came back.
I feel like this is gonna be a good game, a close game, and it's gonna come down to it's either Patrick Mahomes just like doing something incredible, and that's what is gonna get the Chiefs winning it, or it's just Tom Brady's like veteran mentality and leadership, and then just marching down the field. And it's just gonna be like, if there's 2 minutes left in the game and it's a tie game, I feel like it's gonna go to overtime because
it's gonna go back and forth.
it's just gonna go back and forth.
Yeah. Do you have a bold prediction for the game outside of the score, and then we can do a formal prediction online after that?
Formal? What do you mean?
We can get, put your mouth to your words. Will the Bucs win? That's in a second. Do you have something for how the game will go? Okay,
I'm gonna be realistic. I think it's gonna be 38-24 Chiefs.
Okay. So 14-point game, a little bit of separation.
Exactly, yeah. It might be close in the beginning, but I feel like the Chiefs are gonna pull away in the second half.
I just think there's gonna be a lot of points. Bet the over. If you're a bet,
you're gonna think it's a lot of points.
Let me see what the over under is. I believe the Bucs are 3 points underdogs, which is kind of surprising to me. Let me see. I think there's gonna be a lot of points.
I don't think it's that surprising. They're the 5th seed in the NFC.
No, it makes sense that they're underdogs. I just figured it'd be more.
Oh,
look at that! Lightning 3-0 up on Detroit.
Oh, already.
After the first period.
You should probably watch it now.
I mean, you can go ahead and turn it on. I'll leave you alone for that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very fast-paced game. Tony Romo's on the call. That's beautiful. It's CBS.
Yeah, it's CBS. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz.
So
Kansas City. It's going to be a soothing little Super Bowl.
I think KC will win in between 3 and 7 points, and somewhere in there, I think
3 and 7. So it's your
1-score game.
That's gonna be a
KC
close
by
game.
1-score game. Over under's 56. Smash the over.
So you think it's gonna come down to field goals?
I hope not. Because I sit there and I'm like, I should have been an NFL kicker.
What was it not last year? 2 years ago, the Super Bowl was terrible. The
Rams.
That Rams.
Pats.
Patriots. That
113.
That was a terrible. I really hope it's not like that. I hope it's gonna be that. Something close to that Eagles Patriots, because that was a really like a high scoring, like enjoyable game.
Yeah,
and I actually enjoyed it because the Eagles were leading the whole time. But in this case, I don't want the Buccaneers to necessarily like take the lead, because that's just gonna give me some hope, because that's what happened during the Green Bay game. Like they were up like 14-3 or something like that.
Who, the Eagles?
No,
the Bucs.
The Bucs.
Yeah, they went up. They went up quick, and then it became.
Yeah, they went up quick, and then they kind of like blew them out. Yeah, in the first half, they like 10 seconds left, and they went up like 21 something. And then they kind of just like regressed after that. And it was a good game, but it was a little bit nerve wracking for
sure.
Bucs fans.
Yeah.
So I don't want my hopes to get up, but I want it to be a good game.
I think between Arians and Reed, like they'll just be like there'll be some point in the second quarter where like, yeah, let's just empty the playbook. Let's just go. You know what I mean?
I saw this meme of Jimmy Butler after I don't know which game it was, when he was just leaning over the bench. It wasn't the bench, but like after one of the games in the bubble, like he was just leaning over, like exhausted, because he was playing like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And then like the caption was like, Tampa Bay chefs Sven Andy Reid and Bruce Arians are in town.
Yep, it's true. It's true. Those are big boys, big football boys. But so we both back in the Chiefs. I'm saying the over, and just hoping for a great game, right? And hope at least it'd be a lot more fun for you if Tampa wins too, being out there.
It will be, honestly, like we should do a podcast after.
Probably will.
Because before, like I said, like I don't think Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not the fans necessarily, but the people they haven't realized it yet. I feel like if they win the Super Bowl, that's not like people are like, even the people that are not like necessarily football or Buccaneers fans, that's when they're gonna like realize like, oh shoot, like the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and the Lightning won the Stanley Cup. Like we are the next like biggest football city, and honestly, like I think it gets overshadowed. But Tampa Bay is really now the mecca of sports
right now. Yeah,
I mean, what's another like city that has like teams? This LA. Okay, never mind. LA has.
Well, LA also has 8 teams though. Well, you guys have 3.
Well, what do you mean 8 teams?
No, Dodgers, Angels. Like they have 2 teams for each, like in each sport. I'm saying.
Well, but it's also a bigger area, because like I feel like the Dodgers, like the Angels, they're not always in the same. Yeah, so it's Anaheim. It's the same with the Ducks, Anaheim Ducks. So it's not necessarily LA. LA Kings are. But
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
good. So it's
But
like,
hey, the fact that Tampa Bay is rivaling Los Angeles just goes to show, like, it's those two, and that's it. Like, that's kind of crazy.
yeah,
from
and
this
then
past
it
year.
was New York for a long time, but it's
Well-
like it's what I'm saying is like that's another hub with a lot
sure.
of teams and good teams at some point. But
There you
yeah,
go.
it's
Just sign Tom Brady, NFL teams. It's
exactly.
not that hard.
Tom Brady should go to he should go to New York next, the Jets,
Yeah, specifically.
and then what with what's his name?
Darnold.
The new coach that they hired, the Jets.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who they hired.
They hired the 49ers defensive
Oh,
coordinator.
Salah.
Salah, yeah,
Sorry.
with Salah.
Yeah,
and
we're
after
really
that,
showing off our
and
knowledge.
I forgot. I didn't want to butcher his name. I was gonna say like salsa or something like that.
Oh, man.
Anyways, you should just go to New York and then after that LA, like the Chargers. No, not the Chargers. Chargers
they
have a
have
quarterback
Herbert,
now.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah,
Who knows?
great football city and sports city in general. Tampa is.
I'm excited for it. Sunday. I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the game.
Oh yeah,
It'll be
for
fun.
sure.
Yeah. Thanks to you for coming on and giving the Tampa side of everything.
Thank you for forcing me on, Zach.